There, get my notes. All right, ready to go?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So focus on me and awkward break. Well, welcome back to another episode of LorcanaChats. I am Chris, aka Questing for Lore, and today with me I have a well-known member of the Lorcana community and adamant deck builder, Teddy. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, like Chris said, my name is Teddy. I have been a part of the Glimmer Gang podcast since the game came out. We focus on the competitive stuff, but also kind of like give it an approach to where anyone can come in and learn. And then recently, our podcast has taken a little hiatus. We do plan to come back, but I've just been enjoying the game recently, building a lot of decks. Shimmering Skies has me really excited. So yeah, that's who I am. I'm just a regular old college kid. I'm only 20, so I'm on the younger side of the community, but I do like that. And so yeah, my name's Teddy, and I like to build decks. It's the best way
Yeah,
to put it.
yes, you do. I love all the stuff that you come up with. It seems like, especially with Set 5 coming up, it seems like every day you're posting a new deck just about. And some of them look
Oh, I
really
trust me,
interesting.
I have a lot more. I have a lot more in my dream board that I just haven't posted yet. That they'll be coming. I think I'm
Okay.
doing a Chris. I'm doing an evasive one tomorrow. Well, I guess
Oh, okay.
this it's already been out by the time this is revealed.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
but yeah, I have more coming.
Well, cool. Yeah, I love seeing your stuff and
Thank
it,
you.
a lot of them have really given me ideas.
Hmm.
As somebody that hasn't really like this is my first real TCG,
Hmm.
but you've got experience with stuff in the past, right?
Yeah, I played Pokemon, I'd say seventh, eighth grade, which for me was only 6 years ago, about 6, 7 years ago. Uh, Trust me, I age people a lot in this community. My one of my podcast buddies, Sean, he's 38. I believe his kid is 13, so I'm closer in age to his kid than I am to him. So there's some weird age stuff, but yeah, I played Pokemon. Uh, it was fun, obviously, but like being a high schooler, being not 16 yet, I didn't have a car, I couldn't drive. I was also on a very strict budget. And so it's kind of just like it was hard to kind of break in as like and be able to like play a game as I wanted to then.
Hmm.
Um and I stopped playing it probably like probably senior year of high school, just because college was starting, it was on the approach, and a little few months into college, I sold all my Pokemon cards. Okay, I'm done with TCGs. I'm gonna focus on my. I'm a sports media major, so I'm gonna focus on getting a job in sports, and then just kind of going and focusing on that. Then
Hmm.
I still one day after D23 in 2022, I'm sitting in my desk and I'm just like, a Disney trading card game? What's this? And so I found it, and it's the rest is history. But yeah, I played Pokemon, and then before like we actually got physical cards for Lorcana, it was Marvel Snap for a while for me.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So you're there from the very beginning, like even before the
Oh
game came out.
yeah, I was in the Lorcana HQ Discord servers, like the first big community Discord
Hmm.
for the game, and it yeah, the rest is history.
Nice, nice. And now you're like winning all sorts of, I mean, I saw you did really well at the Ursula Set Championships. And how many DLCs have you been to? Is it one or two or?
I've only I went to Chicago. I got enough point. I got 30 above 30 points to get one of the promos, which was
Mm-hmm.
nice. I would love to go to more, but college kid salary can't really don't
Yeah.
really have that flexibility. But that's why I enjoy set champs. I can go to
Oh, sorry, you skipped a little bit there. I don't know if it's my connection or yours.
maybe mine here. I'll say that. Where was the last thing you heard that I said?
You were talking about the DLCs and the college
Okay.
kid, the cost of it for a college kid,
Yeah.
but which makes sense. I mean, it's not the cheapest thing to just kind of go off and take off to a city halfway across the country
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
cost of not just where to stay, but everything that is involved in the travel. And yeah, it's a lot, but
Yeah.
I
I'm in the Chicago area, and that's where one of them was. So that was like
Right.
a 45-minute drive north, and like I'm there.
Oh,
And
nice.
I got to stay with some friends and stuff. But yeah, that was nice because it was right in my backyard. So
Yeah, yeah. I have to admit, I'm jealous of people that are, financially capable of going to multiple
mhm.
DLCs. But I mean, if that's
Yeah.
what your focus area is, then that's what you make happen.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so, have you been playing at an LGS while you've been there, or do you just play when you go back to school, or?
Most of my stuff is actually just kind of like uh doing like webcam games just because I
Hmm.
work in baseball when I'm home for the summer, so it's working at nights because most when we're at home, it's home since I'm at night. So I don't have league, I don't have time to go to league, and then when I'm back at school, I always have club stuff every night. So I think I've only been to two leagues in my entire time playing Lorcana, which is kind of wild to say.
Yeah.
Uh, just because I don't have time to be honest. I still have I focus on my school stuff. I focus on those clubs when I'm done at school. So yeah, but most of my stuff comes with just playing different ways, online webcam stuff like that.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah, it's since the client that shall not be named went away.
Peanut butter jelly.
Yes, exactly. It's yeah, it's been interesting to talk to people and see, because I know a lot of people they used it for testing, right? Especially
Mm-hmm.
for practicing and
Mm-hmm.
testing for DLCs and set champs and everything. And webcam games are good, right? I've played a lot of them myself as well. But it's just not quite the same, and and we have other tools for testing some stuff that have come up, and they're useful, but it's not, obviously it's not the same. So I
Mm-hmm.
know lots of people are missing it, especially
Yeah.
people that can't make it to local stuff, and you know, but yeah, no, I don't know. Webcam games are fun. I'll say that. It's nice to be able to sit and talk to somebody and have a
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
conversation either about the game
Exactly. Yeah.
itself or, whatever. Um but yeah, it's definitely the community's definitely taken a hit from that. So, and I know I'm not the first and I won't be the last person to say that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
So let's see. Deck building. This is I honestly, okay, so this is slightly selfish. This is one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on. Like I said, keeping up with all the stuff that you post on Twitter, and now you're starting to put out stuff on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Some basic videos there. Um, you know, as someone who constantly struggles with it, like I said, it's nice to see that stuff. I like how you
Mm-hmm.
spend some time explaining it, do a little bit of reasoning behind
Yeah.
the choices of the cards and everything. Um, so I'm curious. I mean, obviously you have some background in TCGs. What kind of differences do you see in Lorcana versus, other TCGs and how you go about like building your decks?
I think for one Lorcana, we have such a limited card pool still compared to like
Mhm.
Magic and Pokemon. I'll reference Pokemon a lot just because that's where I came from. How Pokemon works, they have the rotations, and it's usually at the end of a rotation, like when a new rotation starts, it's the past 2 years sets, and then by the time that like rotation, you go one more year, it's three whole years of sets. So if you put that in a Lorcana sense, that's 12 sets of cards. We only
Okay.
have five ever,
Right.
and
Right.
I think that's where it's a little bit interesting with Lorcana is because we have such a small card pool right now. It you and cards it's getting to that point where like card slots are very narrow, and it like
Mhm.
as the game progresses it's gonna get harder to deck build, I think. Just because there's so many options now to consider. uh I think Ruby Amethyst is the deck that I use the most, and I think uh like we got the new Elsa, which is a 5 drop. We got a new Mim, which is a 4 drop. The new Elephant, and it's like I think just the biggest thing right now with Arcana is just how small the card pool is compared to other games that I've played and I know that are out there. Like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, they've been around for an extremely long time. And obviously, their
Yep.
formats are narrowed down. Stuff is banned. We don't have access to base set cards in standard Pokemon format. But it's just the limited amount of card pool right now, I think, is what makes Lorcana a bit different to me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I can definitely understand, as things progress,
Mm-hmm.
for those of us, like I said, that aren't as skilled in deck building, it's a struggle even with just, well, technically not five just yet, but I guess by the time that this is actually released, set five will officially be released. But to
Mm-hmm.
have, just five sets is still it's a lot, for especially for somebody new to the game.
Yeah.
Um, but
Mm-hmm.
so what if you were talking to someone that was just starting out and wanted to really dive deep into deck building, what would be kind of your advice on how to get started and kind of what to shoot for?
I think the first thing I'm going to say, it's okay to net deck. Always okay to net deck. And net decking, for those who are listening who don't know what it is, it's basically going online and saying, okay, this deck performed well. I'm going to I'm going to sleeve up those cards, maybe purchase a few cards and play that deck. That's totally okay. There are some people that will say that's not good. Don't listen to those people. Those people don't know what they're talking about. Net decking
Oh,
is great.
good.
It helps. Yeah, it helps a lot just because it kind of gives an example of these high level players, and I still do it. I'm still learning everything to do with deck building and playing trading card games. There are people that have been playing games in lore, like playing games that are in like high level Lorcana players that have been playing games longer than I've even been alive. So I'm still learning. You're always going to be learning. It's okay to
Mhm.
net deck and like going more. I guess if you want to build your own deck, then it's take it one step at a time. Right away, what characters do you like? Like Disney is a franchise full of characters that people love. If you just want to play a deck that revolves around princesses, there is a good princess archetype in this game. Like that is good. It's not like high level competitive, but that's a fun deck you can build. And if you
Yeah.
want to get into more competitive deck building, you can go and look at like different sites. Like Inkdex has all of the top results from different DLCs and all these set champs. You can go look at there's the 20 lore pro like bouncing ideas off each other for the new sets.
Hmm.
So I think the biggest, and to wrap it all into one, the biggest piece of advice would to use your resources because they're there for you. They're open to everyone. Inkdex is not not a private website. 20 War Pro is not a private Discord, and that's the thing. It's just use your resources because there are so many of them out there that are so useful and that can help you in the long run. Just get better as a deck builder. YouTube, like just look up Lorcana decks, uh, and you can find like recent decks that people have built. They'll explain the deck for you. They may run a few games of it, and it kind of shows like, okay, why did I do this decision? Why did I choose to put this card over this card? So like there's so many resources, and that's the biggest thing is just use the resources because they're there for you and they're amazing to everyone in the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's amazing to see the amount of Lorcana content that has just exploded. I mean, in the last, I mean, it's not even, well, I guess it is technically a year now. Um, but uh but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just to have that all that stuff as a resource out there is just amazing. Do you have like a group that you play test with, or you just start up webcam games and hope for the best?
I do. I can't reveal the name. It's not public yet, but I
Yeah. Okay.
part of a Chicago Lorc. I am a part of a Chicago Lorcana team. We're starting to do more stuff. We'll be releasing stuff like we're gonna have a Twitter, YouTube, all that. So I do have that team. I also have like I'm in like a bunch of different group chats with different creators, with different players, and just kind of
Mhm.
bouncing ideas off each other. The playtesting comes from that team mostly, and then like a little bit with just other people that I'm close with in the community. Uh, but yeah, that's the biggest thing, and I'm very privileged to be able to say that I am a part of a team that I have the ability to test with people and keep it like not close to the chest is a bad way, but just like have that internal group that you can say, okay, this is good. And if we find it's good, it's not gonna, it's like, and this is kind of just like the thing with teams is every team out there is going to have like these cards that they're like, okay, this is good. We're going to keep this in house
Right.
so we can have like an advantage and stuff like, and that's like higher level competitive stuff. But yeah, testing teams, I think is, it's definitely a higher, like not threshold, but it's just like a lot of like higher level players will have these like internal testing teams, like a team, like their own team or just a group of people that they test with. So yeah, that's where I go. Just because I it is a great thing, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity and ability to have something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely nice. I say that like I have it, but I wish I did sometimes. It's really it's tough, as just an average player to get in enough, enough repetitions with a deck and, to be able to
Mm,
really get a chance. Because a lot of people, I know some people have locals that they can go to multiple nights a week, and so they can
mm-hmm.
potentially get some more experience that way. But there's a lot of people that are like me that once a week is all I get. And
Yeah.
it's, 3 hours or so. And so, it's really tough to practice all that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
like you said, we've got some great resources out there. There's some great simulator things and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious, whenever you start looking, like looking forward to set five,
Mm-hmm.
as the stuff is starting to get revealed, what's your thought process? Like whenever you're thinking about how to build stuff in, are you more focused on completely new stuff, or are you trying to do, improve previous decks that you might have built, or is it a little bit of both?
Sorry, you cut out there. I lost you at the end.
Oh, no, I was just asking, is your focus usually on newer decks, based on like, when all the set five stuff came out? Or is it like just modifying old decks and trying to bring them up to the next level?
So the thought process for me is I will pay attention to like what's revealed. Like when the new Daisy one drop was revealed, that like my mind
Mhm.
already went, okay, that goes in aggro.
Yep.
But I don't really start to build until we have the full set. And something that I'll do is I'll use Dreamborn. Just I kind of just put that open. I'll throw in a pair of headphones and just kind of scroll through all the new cards, just to see like what ideas I can think of. I'll usually try to see like what decks can be built out of the cards that we got. Like one of the first ideas I had was an Emerald Steel ping deck with the new
Yep.
hyenas. I commented on one of your tweets that you made, like the
Hmm.
new hyenas compared with the new Robin Hoods and stuff like that. That was something that like just something new from this set that you can make. And I still need to look at that because there's a lot of options for it.
Yep.
Uh, but then after, like in Dreamborn, I'll delete all of my decks from set four. Just get there; they don't matter anymore.
Oh,
They get
okay.
old. I'll get rid of those, and then I'll just remake the deck. Like Ruby Amethyst, I had a list that did really well at set champs. I won 3 Ursulas, but
Hmm.
that deck's gone. Like it's a whole new meta. The deck's going to be a lot different this set. They're going to have new cards, so I'll just go back and rebuild it in Dreamborn. Um, and I think the thing I'll do is in Dreamborn, I'll just scroll through everything that I think could go in the deck, add 4 of them in. Usually the deck comes out to like 120 cards
Yeah.
uh, at the end, and then I'll go back in and just kind of like narrow down what I think is good and get to 60 uh, that way. So that I usually will look at the new cards that are coming out, say, okay, this could be good in this. Maybe there's something here, and like the thoughts are usually flowing. Uh, but then once the full set's released, it's kind of just go time, and it's the best way to describe it is go time.
Yeah.
Just seeing what we have to work with, and then building new decks from the stuff we got, but also rebuilding the old decks that are always
Right.
popular, like Blue Steel, Ruby Amethyst, Amber Steel. They're decks that we've seen do well at tournaments. They've been in the meta for a while, but then we also have something like aggro, which is always been there, but it hasn't been tier one. And
Hmm.
it's now has the ability to be tier one. And so you like go and focus on something like that as well.
Right. Okay. So is there anything at this given time, is there any particular deck that you're like super excited about working out for set five?
it's hyper rare. I'm so excited for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I posted one deck list and then I updated it a few days ago, just after a few few testing matches online, and that's the thing I'm excited about. I think uh I think it can be tier one. If it's not tier one, it's going to be very, very
Yeah,
close to tier 1.5.
yeah.
And obviously, like you said earlier, the set isn't even released yet. We don't know what this meta is going to look like. But it is hyper aggro for me just because that seems like so much fun. So win the game in 10 minutes and just be like,
Yeah.
all right, game two. Like, so yeah,
Yeah.
hyper aggro for me.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I have to say, as somebody who played Steel Song for a long time, until it was almost, probably a little too long. Um, when I switched over and started playing an aggro deck, I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. It's not like a
Yeah.
grind, like trying to make every decision just perfectly. And yeah, it was a blast. And and I'm super glad to see it really, stepping forward and being up there, as possibly a top tier kind of deck. And there's lots of
Hmm.
different options too. I mean, looking around the
Yeah.
set five cards, there's all sorts of possibilities, even just within that little, that bubble there.
Yeah.
So out of all the decks that you've made so far up until this point, not looking forward to set five decks, what has been your
Okay.
favorite one? Like favorite one to play, favorite one just like had a really interesting mechanic to it, or
Uh, it's set one review. Yeah. I always get a lot of heat for that. Those were so fun to me. The hour-long matches, just grinding it back and forth. We
oh
didn't have
gosh.
goat. We didn't have the foxes, rabbits. It was just the best play you could do was play the Maleficent Sorceress on three and then sing friends with her the next turn. Like that will
Yeah.
always be my favorite. And I think there's a little bit of a nostalgic factor to that. And that was
Mhm.
like one of the first like good decks to ever come out of Lorcana. Uh, and so yeah, that was definitely that's definitely my favorite deck right there. Is set one Ruby Amethyst. I could go back and play that format any day of the week and be content.
Yeah, I'm not sure that most people would share that sentiment, but I think people are a little too spoiled by some of the stuff that we've gotten since then. But
Yeah.
no, it's good. And there's something to be said for playing something that, you really enjoy and that you're really comfortable
Hmm.
with. And, I know, personally, there's been a lot of times, especially, being my first TCG, trying to do, the net deck approach because it's like, okay, well, these people know what they're talking about, right? They've made these things, they're doing great. Um, trying to just pick up a deck and try to like, play with it. And I don't know. It's really tough for me personally without some kind of like a background to the deck
Hmm.
to just look at something and say, "Oh, I see what this deck is trying to do." Now as time goes on, I think everybody kind of develops that feeling to it. You see certain cards, you kind of understand what kind of deck it is, how it's supposed to be played, but as somebody who's just kind of growing and learning, I found those videos that, and like I said, how you describe some of
Hmm.
yours that actually sit down and say, okay, so, here's the curve. Here's,
Hmm.
how, if this happens, play this instead of this. And, the whole thought process behind it, helps so much for people.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's also a good way to learn how those decisions came about, right?
Hmm.
For somebody to sit down and they say, okay, these two cards are almost exactly the same. This one does something slightly different. Does it make more sense for this situation because it does that thing slightly different,
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cards that are really similar.
Hmm.
Um, and it's tricky to try to figure out when to play which one, what's going to have the best interaction with other cards in the deck. And, you start swapping stuff in and out and testing it out. And uh, and and I still remember the days when I was like, I have a starter deck and I like swapped out like five cards and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, you know. But but I mean, I guess everybody kind of starts that way. Like,
Hmm.
even back when you were playing Pokemon and the other games, I mean, you started somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you just immediately picked it up and said, "Oh, I know how all of this works."
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like experience does matter in TCGs. I think that is something that it kind of does change like how you view the things. Because I know like we have a lot. Like I look at Frank Karsten, who won the Lille Challenge.
Mhm.
He's a Magic Hall of Famer. He knows trading card games. He's been doing it for a while, and it's like when you play enough trading card games is something I'm slowly starting to realize is the kind of the mechanics and the, like the basic function of it. It applies to every game, and then it's just
Yeah.
kind of learning the specific rules to games and like how those work and all that. So experience does matter with TCGs just because of like there is something to say about someone who's been playing for 20 years versus someone who's playing for 5 years. 15 years difference does matter a lot. It's kind of
Oh
it's a
yeah.
factor I've realized. And so yeah, it's experience definitely does matter. It can definitely help in different areas like deck building.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure as, as the game, as Lorcana introduces other new mechanics, it seems
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of them are, pretty similar to other games.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of
Yeah.
framed in Lorcana's, lore and the
Mm-hmm.
world and the game. Because I
Yeah.
think every, well, so with the exception of locations, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know when those came out. I don't know if I've heard of another game that has something specifically like that. Now, correct me if I'm
I
wrong, but
probably the biggest. I mean, the biggest thing I think of is like stadiums in Pokemon.
okay.
Uh, Basically stadiums work is you play it down. There can be one stadium in play at all times, and it gives an effect to both players. So like one of there's one, it's called a Razzatan, I believe it. I could be saying that wrong. Basically, on each player's turn, they can look through their deck for because Pokemon's a game where you're basically deck searching the entire time. That's how a game
Okay.
works. Uh, and it basically just says it lets you look through your deck once per turn and find a basic Pokemon and put it on your bench or basic energy and put it in your hand.
Mhm.
And so though that was probably the most similar thing to locations, but obviously you don't move this stadium. The only way stadiums can be like there's like certain items and like stuff that can remove stadiums, and like if you play a stadium, the stadium that's already in play gets discarded and stuff.
Okay.
So like there are similar, but there's really an I at least what I've played. There's really nothing, or I guess Marvel Snap, I guess, is another game I've played. Like you have three different locations that you're playing at and stuff like that,
Right. Yeah.
that give a different effect. So I guess Marvel Snap probably is the thing that's most like it is kind of like how that game is just kind of played totally with three different locations. You're just playing at the locations. But yeah, like when locations came out, it definitely changed Lorcana
Hmm.
because it added one passive lore, which we've seen how good something like Queen's Castle can be,
Yeah.
and giving
Oh my gosh.
two passive lore per turn, uh, and also drawing like if they have those abilities on them as well when they're there.
Hmm.
So like the locations are definitely something that's unique to Lorcana. But then like you look at a keyword like evasive, Magic has flying, which is the exact same thing. You
Right.
have to have flying to deal some damage with something flying. Uh, Same with evasive. So definitely some like similar stuff, and I that's how like I think all new TCGs will be. There's going to be stuff that like in Star Wars Unlimited. I don't know the exact keyword, but there is bodyguard in that. It's just a different keyword that goes along better with Star Wars. Uh
Right.
and so yeah, that's just the, like all like there's so much overlap in TCGs now. It's kind of just framed into the storyline, like you said, of Lorcana, of Star Wars, of Pokemon, yada yada yada, whatever game you want to say. There are those same things in each game.
Yeah. Yeah. So I usually ask this like later on in the interview, but since we're kind of on the topic, as someone who's played TCGs before, is there any kind of mechanic or interesting thing about another game that you think would be good to introduce or would like to see in Lorcana in the future?
Uh, hmm. I think the I'm blanking on the word, but it's basically like the new Merlin we have. When you shift, you get to search your deck for any card.
Okay.
That's basically what Pokemon is going like into your deck searching for stuff. I honestly don't think that's good for Lorcana, just because I think right now we have like the ability to draw so much, and like that searchability is nice, and it's like very limited. We saw it with I believe Alma Magical. You get when you play her, you get to search your deck for a magical, and
Right.
I don't know if
Yep.
it's put it on top or in your hand. Then there's a new mini that lets you look for a character if you shift her and reveal it and put it on top. The new Merlin lets you look for any card and just put it in your hand. Tutoring, that's what it's called.
Yes. Yeah.
Tutoring is basically like where you get to search your deck for stuff. It's good to an extent, and I think it's okay in Pokemon because it's just how that game's built. Uh,
Hmm.
and but for Lorcana, I would like to not see it as much just because it gets rid of that variance. I think uh that Pokemon still has variance, don't get me wrong, but I think if you can get the right hand, then you're perfectly fine.
Hmm.
So yeah, tutoring I don't think should come to Lorcana. Or if it does, it has to be like it can't just be when you play an item you get to search your deck for like
Right.
a
Right.
specific card. Like nothing like that. It has to be like the new Merlin where you have to shift it and be able to, and then search your deck.
Well, and he's
Which I don't think that
relatively
card's good anyway.
expensive too, right? I kind of forget
Yeah,
what
it's a
the shifts
shift.
cost.
It's a shift five. I don't think that card's good in
Oh,
general.
okay. Yeah.
We don't have any good blue. We don't have any good blue Merlins yet. I'll say that. It's
Right.
because we don't have
Right.
any good blue Merlins. We don't want to be shifting on goats or rabbits. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that card can become good in the future. Don't get me wrong, but right now,
Yeah. It was kind of
it's that card. It's I think it's
surprised.
like
Oh, go
Jafar
ahead.
in a way. It's
Yeah.
Jafar in my
Yeah.
opinion. We all thought Jafar was going to be good. I think it'll be a higher cost card like out of the gate, but once people realize it's not that good, it'll just fall back down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of cards that, each set,
Hmm.
there's like this huge hype built up around them, and everybody thinks, oh, it's amazing. And some go even as far as Jafar with the whole deck that was built around him. But it seems like there's still a lot of them that, they get a huge amount of hype when they first get released or revealed.
Hmm.
And then everybody's like, well, actually, you
This doesn't
know?
work as it should on paper. Like on paper, Merlin's a great card. On paper, Jafar is a great card. But
Hmm.
when you actually put in the deck, and it does depend on the meta and what's being played, and I think that's why Jafar wasn't as good when he came out, and still isn't as good. I
Yeah.
think it could be better this set, but we'll have to see. But yeah, there's so much excitement when a new set comes out, and like
Hmm.
after a few weeks, and people start to break the meta, people start to break these decks and
Yep.
see what's good enough, and that's when you'll really know what's good and what's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always nice. I know it sounds kind of bad, but it's nice for those of us that are still learning to kind of let some of the more experienced
Hmm.
people have the first crack at it, you know, because I mean, it's tricky,
Yeah.
like I said, like you mentioned, the whole ping deck, I've still been tinkering with that, and it's been weeks
Hmm.
now, and it's still not great.
Hmm.
I mean, it works all right, but
Yeah.
um, it's going to be interesting to see if anybody really cracks it and really makes something viable out of it. And then
Hmm.
it's like, oh, okay, I see what I was missing, right?
Hmm.
You know, which is really super helpful as well to kind of understand and
Yeah.
see, okay, this deck works. Let me figure out why this
Hmm.
works and why mine doesn't. You
Yeah. Hmm.
know. Well, so you mentioned a lot about some of the community stuff. You've been out there for a while. You were, one of the hosts on the Glimmer Gang podcast
Hmm.
for forever. Y'all did 50 episodes? How many did y'all end up doing? I
49.
forgot.
So
49.
when we come back, it'll be episode 50. When we come back, it'll be
Okay.
episode 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We look forward to it. I always
Thank you.
enjoyed, watching y'all's videos and listening. I definitely learned a lot from those conversations. So I just want to say I appreciate, the work you and your fellow co-hosts put in to
Thank
creating
you.
those shows. But um, so the community in general, how do you feel like we're doing? Do you feel like we're kind of achieving some of the overall goals of what Lorcana, the community, wants to be? Or do you think there's areas that we can improve in? Or
I think right now, I think the community is in a good spot. I definitely think there was a bit of a like punch to the gut when we lost PB, peanut butter and jelly. I think like that definitely kind of it was a blow to the community because of how important that was to like just deck building and being able to play games easier. But
Mhm.
it's always like up and down. You saw when set one was released and how hard it was to get it. People were dropping and then it goes back up. And it's there. There's gonna be like I think we're at a good high right now, but there's gonna be something in a little bit that'll send it back down a little. That's how all TCGs work. But right now, I think it's in a really good spot. I definitely think there are areas to improve. I think it always is a little like as someone who's loved this game and will continue to support it for as long as I can, like to see people complain, it does hurt a little, but I understand why people complain. I understand like the
Mhm.
biggest thing is the best of, or not best of two game format at DLCs. I've only played
Yep.
in it once. It's okay. Like I don't
Mhm.
think it's great. I much prefer best of three, and I know a lot of people do. And there's a reason for not having best of three because it extends days, it makes them longer, it makes matches
Yes.
longer.
Yep.
Uh, and so but overall, this community is doing well. It's such a good community. I'm lucky to be friends with a lot of people who have been around since day one and be able to call them close friends. And to like have to have this community is something that I very much enjoy, and just be able to uh just talk with people about the game, whether it's competitively or casually, is really fun.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nice that at least to me, it seems like it's pretty open community compared to some of the
Oh
other
yeah.
games out there.
Hmm.
I think we there's people in the community that have done a lot to really intentionally make it that way too,
Yeah.
all the way up to the Ravensburger folks.
Yeah.
They have a certain perspective that they bring and different things that they support and it's really cool to see a company that's that involved in trying to make sure that and I don't know if it's just because it's Disney and it's some kind of like, oh, it has to be open and friendly, but I think it just naturally attracts those kind of people too. There's always going to be people, there's going to be people that come in and they're just in it for competition. They don't care about,
Mm-hmm.
community or anything like that, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of these games is that you can approach them how you want to.
Hmm.
Um, and there's nothing saying that they have to be like super active on Twitter and talking to other content creators and other people, Zach Bivens and all that kind of stuff, to really feel like they're a part of the game.
Hmm.
But it's just nice to have a group of people that love the game, as much as we do, and that really want to see it succeed and want to see the
Yeah.
community around it grow and improve constantly, and and make sure that it stays the open and welcoming kind of place that it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. I think Disney definitely has a little bit to do with it. I think that
Mhm.
just kind of like it puts like a little stamp on it that says, yes, this is going to be like a I want to say I don't want to say nicer community.
Mhm.
But I think that definitely like it does bring a more inviting community. I think that's the best way to put it. Is
Yeah.
like there's inviting, everyone's gonna be like just everywhere everybody's smiling, they enjoy it. It's Disney, like, and yes, like once you get down to the competition, it's going to be nitty gritty. People
Right.
like once you get into those top 64 DLCs, people are going to be locked in and they're playing their game.
Hmm.
And that's the beauty of it is like uh I remember in Chicago, I was waiting for a buddy to so we could drive back to uh our Airbnb at the end of Chicago, and
Hmm.
Zach Bivens was just like we were both just standing there talking for like 20 minutes, uh, just about the game, about like other stuff. I mean, he had just played his heart out and got the number one seed in Swiss, and then he's like just talking after that. And I think that's the thing, just about this game is people will fight like the entire day of Swiss, and then after just go and talk with people and. It's just
Yeah.
such an inviting community and such an amazing place to be able to spend time with and just get to know people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I love seeing like after each of the DLCs, seeing the posts from people. It's like, oh yeah, we went and hung out with, and it's just like random people, that
Hmm.
would be like, big names online, like, Zach or, some of the other top tier players.
Yeah.
They would just be like, yeah, sure, let's go get some food or,
Yeah.
whatever.
Hmm.
It's just everybody's just kind of, pretty open and pretty, I don't know how to say it, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's cool though. And I love seeing those shots of,
Hmm.
just people hanging out and, it's they may be still talking about the game and tossing ideas around and everything, but it's not like, you know, oh, you beat the crap out of me, this one time, and so I hate you now. It's like, okay, you did good, you won, you beat me. That's great, and
Hmm.
maybe even learn something from it, which is
Yeah.
always good. So, yeah. Well, cool. So, we already talked about set five a little bit. Oh, do you have a enchanted card that you like particularly so far?
I mean, I can. I mean, I have this one with me with my Ursula.
Yeah, yeah,
There you
yeah.
go. I did just send off my Stitch to buddy actually Jacob from Ready Set Draw. I was able to uh get him. He has my Stitch now.
Oh, okay.
Which uh so obviously the Stitch is nice. Just it was fun to win that, but sooner or
Hmm.
later, I'm one of those like I don't hold much sentimental value to cards. I like it is a competitive like game to me. And so like I mean I wouldn't wanting to win the Stitch, but now like it served its purpose. I won it. I was able to say okay I did that, but then find it a better home to someone who's gonna enjoy it more than me than rather just sitting on my desk. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, Stitch was great. Or like all these like set champs and chances are amazing. They're so pretty. The Mirabelle one that we're getting for set five is like just
Yes.
so pretty. It's such a good card. I think the one enchanted I am going to buy though is the new Olaf that we're getting. I am
Okay.
a huge Olaf enjoyer. I one of my buddies, oh, my camera's here. Like I have this custom Olaf that I
Oh,
got
nice.
painted
That's
from one of my
awesome.
buddies partners. So and it sits on my uh shelf, my Lorcana shelf that I have. But yeah, like enchanted, they're cool and all, but it's just like I'm a low rarity player,
Hmm.
so like all of my foils I either just give away or I throw them up in my TCG player store. So enchanted, like it's like that Olaf holds sentimental value. Frozen, and I know you're gonna
Right.
you're gonna ask me this in a little bit. Frozen's my like one of my top favorite Disney movies.
Yeah.
Just because the music is so great. I acted in middle school, did musicals and all that. I always loved music, and I think like that and Moana are just some of the best music in Disney.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and so like that holds sentimental value there. And if we ever like, I would love to have that Maui Enchanted, but it's an expensive card.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
set one, if we ever got a Moana Enchanted, I'd probably look into buying it. I mean
Hmm.
that Elsa from set one is pretty, but I mean, God, that's again expensive.
Yeah.
And so Enchant, yeah, Olaf would probably be Olaf or Arthur, and I say Arthur just because he looks like me. Like can't go wrong there.
Yep, yep. That's a pretty cool card. I like the art
Yeah,
on that one. Yeah.
yeah,
I'd be interested to see because I'm sure, once this Friday rolls around and everybody's breaking open those packs and
yeah.
stuff, I'll be really interested to see, what some of those look like. We've seen a couple of them, right?
Hmm.
But to actually see them, like a video of them or something,
Like a picture,
be
yeah.
really cool. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the edge right now between the new Robin Hood and the new
Ooh, yeah,
Mufasa. Or is it Mufasa or Simba?
yeah. Mufasa.
Mufasa. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, just had a little. Um, but yeah, I mean, those are just such pretty cards. So
This sets and chances are some of the best. I won't lie. And obviously,
yeah,
like we had the set four that were like kind of those like Ursula's Return, evil dark theme, but then we come back to
right.
Shimmering Skies and it's so much like vibrant, really good artwork. Yeah,
Yeah,
this set's definitely some of my favorite enchanted that we've gotten so far.
yeah, yeah. And I do like how they actually kind of change things up a little bit to
Oh
fit the
yeah.
theme of the set. That's interesting to me. I don't know, have the other TCGs that you played, do they do that kind of thing where it kind of morphs the special cards to match the theme of the set, or are they usually all pretty standard?
Uh, they're usually the same. I think like I don't know. I believe it was for Liam and Air their Lumineers their 100th or not their 100th year anniversary. Shane Hartley was on and they were talking
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
for like Enchanted each like every person gets an art direction like there's a new art director for the Enchanted I believe is what he said for every set. And so
Oh, okay.
uh like the Enchanted's like they'll change. They're never gonna be the same. We all saw I believe it was set three that had like that more paintbrushy style.
Hmm.
Uh Set one was like the storybook artwork. I mean set two was I think like in that same vein as well. And so definitely excited to see what that comes up with. But from other games I've played, it usually kind of stays the same for like I think like Pokemon like Sun and Moon, which was when I like again when I first started playing, so like 6 years ago, they had like the same design for their full arts, and Pokemon has a lot of different higher rarity cards
Right. Yeah.
than Lorcana does. We have one higher rarity above foil, but versus like Pokemon, they have reverse hollow, they have hollow, they have uh regular like just their regular art, full art, rainbow rare, secret rare, gallery
Oh
art.
my
Like
gosh.
there's been so many in one set.
Oh
Um
my gosh.
and so yeah, like those like the full art designs will change from like expand like expansion to like not expansion to expansion like Sun and Moon was like a video game and that's where like Pokemon sets come from. It's like in that world of Sun and Moon.
Okay.
And then it went Sword and Shield was the next one, and then
Right.
can't think of the current one for some reason. But like between like Sun and Moon, though they have like 3 years of sets. Sword and Shield had 3 years of sets, and then the current one has 3 years of sets. And so like the art like style will change from like those, but from like what else I've seen, I don't honestly know. To be honest, I think Lorcana is one of
Okay.
those sets that like games that just it changes from set to set.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's nice too,
Hmm.
So I know that there's been people they're like, yeah, I don't really like them this set. It's like, okay, well, just wait.
Yeah.
It's not like you're expecting more of the same kind of thing. Yeah, and I hope, I mean, that the artists that they pick for these cards are amazing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know I can't think of a card offhand that it's been like, this is just not a great card. I mean, not playability wise,
Yeah.
there's some of those in there,
Yeah.
but all the different art and how they take kind of different twists on it. It's not just
Oh yeah.
like pictures from the movie or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty
The
cool.
thing that like the one of the bigger things that drew me into the game was the fact when they said that it's going to be all original art,
Hmm.
which one is amazing. And then when we started learning about Floodborns and that there are going to be like different versions of the cards that like characters that we've never seen before,
Yep.
and like you see these artists like coming up with these characters, like they have the baseline character, but then we get like the new Anna that has Elsa powers essentially from set five,
Hmm.
and you get that art and stuff like that. And so that was two of the things that kind of drew me in was one all original art and two Floodborn and Dreamborn art a little bit there. Just being like this like characters, but versions of these characters that we've never seen before that are changed by Lorcana in a way.
Yep. Yep. No, that was such a cool idea to take it, in that direction for the Floodborne
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Yeah.
to where it adds that extra level of, there's the original art and original, concepts and everything for the game, but then you toss in this whole other random thing that's just, I mean, it's amazingly flexible. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much they can do
Oh
on that
yeah.
side because it's basically just coming up with ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing how they use that stuff in the future. But
I mean, like the craziest thing is, I think like the like I don't know if I think it was on the This Week in Ink episode, where
mhm,
like Rochelle said in the comments like they've thought through like the set championship card for set 10, like
my gosh.
that's so wild. And if it's set 10, it has to be later than that. Like they are planning so far in the future. That's kind of the crazy
Hmm.
thing with this game is like when set one came out, they were probably working on like set five or set six,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is like the roadmap for it's kind of wild to think about in that regard. Is like there's so much still to come with like artwork and just the game in general.
Oh yeah, yeah. To be a fly on the wall in the Ravensburger offices to be able to see
Well,
some of that stuff.
I went I think Steve Warner like they posted something about like an entry level game designer,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, it was a few months ago. And I'm like, if I was 2 years older and just graduated, I am applying for this like 100%. Like
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is like it's always cool just to think like how this game gets designed, and like if I do get the job, one, I probably have to stop making content like that. Like
yeah.
that's a dream job in that sense, and it's just like but like you go into there and it's just like, okay, here's the next 7 sets of cards, go learn them all, and then
Hmm.
come back when you're ready to start like testing for future sets and testing those cards and all that. That's just how I imagine that going in my head. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's so much more for this game.
Oh my goodness. I am, and I'm super thrilled that we've hit the 1 year mark and there's no real signs of it stopping. It seems to just grow more and more popularity, and I know they're working on like broadening the marketing efforts to really get more stuff out there to wider audiences. I think that's been one of the criticisms is that, the game has grown organically, right? And it's
Mhm.
gotten word of mouth through Disney fans, and other TCG players are catching on to it and everything. But there's a whole untapped market out there that I
Oh
think
yeah,
that, they could
like
really appeal to.
they just had like I believe it was in China. Yeah, China Joy. They had, which is like a big Chinese convention. They had it out there.
Mm.
I think it's coming to South America somewhat soon.
Yeah.
Like there's still countries in Europe that don't have it. Uh, Australia, I don't think has it yet, and it's like and it's something I saw. I believe it was IC2. I don't know like the exact name of it, but it's
Mhm.
basically a report that takes the amount of cards sold on TCG Player and just like does some math and basically says, okay, what's the most profitable games? And Lorcana is above Yu-Gi-Oh right now with what, if I remember reading that right. It's in the
Wow.
top four, and it's above one of those top three, like the big three games. So this
Hmm.
game ain't going anywhere. This game
Oh no.
it will be around for a very long time. Yes, the Disney IP does help it a lot. Like I will not
Hmm.
lie, the Disney IP definitely helps this game a lot. But I definitely think it is trending in a direction that is not going to slow down whatsoever.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree. Yep. Well, Teddy, I appreciate you taking some time to sit down with me. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I look forward to more great deck building content coming out of you in the future, especially as Set 5 is released
Yeah.
and evolves, the meta starts taking shape. Um, I am gonna ask the same three questions that I ask everybody at the end of these. We already mentioned the Disney movie, but we'll just pretend you didn't say anything. Okay, so right now, favorite Incan card.
Favorite Incan card. I just had it right here. Where is it? This I love this card so much. Like it's just always been my
Oh
favorite
yeah,
card.
the goat. Yep,
Yep. Goat and Amethyst. Amethyst will always be like just it's consistent, and I like playing consistent cards. So
yep,
that's
yep.
Amethyst for me.
Awesome. Okay, so your favorite Disney movie? You said Frozen, right?
I did say Frozen. Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that the actual answer or?
No, yeah, no, that is my like actual like
Okay,
it's
okay.
I will be honest. I haven't watched like a lot of stuff that came before me. Like
Mhm.
I've and I was like Pixar was pretty big when I was growing up. So like if I had to broaden the scope to there, I'm saying Cars every single day of the week. But like if
Okay,
we're thinking
okay.
about just Disney, just stuff that is going to be in Lorcana, crossing my fingers that we do get Pixar one day. Uh, because like we'll never get Star Wars and Marvel. I don't want Star Wars and Marvel.
No, no.
this game at all. But sooner or later, I think Pixar it has the chance to come in. Uh, and so like if that happens, Cars 100%. But if we're thinking
Yeah.
just Disney, Frozen and Moana, they always go back and forth. Frozen 2 sometimes I could say that as well.
Okay.
They're all so good.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I mean, we already have a racer type, so you never know.
exactly. Exactly.
Could be a whole theme for a set in the future.
Lightning
Oh.
McQueen.
Yep, yep. All right, well, cool. Well, tell people where they can find you and your content and everything.
Yeah. So my personal Twitter is Teddy underscore JPEG, spelled JPEG. I do a lot of stuff there. I post my deck list and stuff. I am starting a YouTube channel. It's Teddy's TCG on YouTube. If you do want to follow Glimmer Gang, it's at Glimmer Gang Pod everywhere. We still don't know when we're coming back, but it will happen sooner or later. So yeah, those are the three main places that I post: Twitter, YouTube, and then once Glimmer Gang comes back, we'll be doing our weekly podcast there as well.
Awesome, awesome. I look forward to it. I've really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
that
Yeah,
content. So,
thank you.
all right, well, perfect. Well, thank you again, and well, see you around the community.
Yeah, thanks for having me.